Hi everyone, it's Adrian here from Living Holistic Health. Today I just wanted to talk to you a little bit more about leaky gut. In the previous video I've explained what leaky gut actually is and how it comes about and what the drivers can be. Today I'm just going to talk a little bit about how we can fix that problem. So the first thing to do when we're looking at fixing leaky gut is to actually identify what the underlying cause of that digestive leaky gut is. So as I've explained in a previous video, it can be to do with parasites or fungi, various types of bacteria, good or bad, imbalances in the gut. Can be to do with foods that might be causing issues for people, so gluten, for example, gluten sensitivity, or maybe further on to celiac disease, as an example. Certain types of medications can cause our guts to become leaky and inflamed. So whatever the cause is, the underlying cause, that's the first thing that needs to be addressed. So when our patients come and see us, that's the first thing that we look at is what are the actual drivers causing this problem. Once we can identify those through various testing and talking to people, we can ascertain what the underlying causes are. And then very much how to fix it is going to depend on what those underlying causes are. But broadly speaking, what we need to do in most cases is actually try to soothe the inflammation that's in the gut. So reducing inflammation in the gut should be a high priority. Now there are a number of things that we can do through our diets to get this done. The first thing to do is obviously identify any particularly aggravating foods to our gut and remove those from the diet for a period of time. So whether common ones are gluten-containing foods, it might be dairy for an example, there are various things that people can react to. So we also want to make sure that we pull those out of the diet for a period of time just to try and get that inflammation settled down. And the second thing we need to do is we actually need to start putting some nutrients in there to try and soothe that digestive tract. Food-wise, one of the things we often recommend is bone broths. There's a lot of recipes there on bone broths. Basically just getting some bones, you can put them in the oven to brown them off or just put them into a pot and basically have those sit there and make a stock out of it. And you can add various things, vegetables or mushrooms or whatever flavourings you want to it and have that as a base. And bone broth is very, very good at trying to, heal a lot of that inflammation in the gut. 4 or 5 cups a day of that for a period of time, for a couple of weeks, is a good way to start. We also want to focus on various nutrients. The nutrients that we look at in particular as nutritionists are things like glutamine, for example, zinc, herbs that we can also look at to try and reduce inflammation are things like good forms of turmeric, good forms of boswellia, good forms of aloe. They're all very good at soothing and healing the gut. Sort of vitamins that we also look at as well are things like vitamin A, vitamin D, the zinc as I mentioned before, and also glucosamine can be very, very good at trying to heal the gut up. And also omega-3 fatty acids, whether they're high-strength fish oils or flax seeds, or we get them through our food. We've got another video on omega-3s if you want to have a look through our library there, what foods contain omega-3. So really focusing on reducing that gut inflammation is the key to start with when we're looking at healing a leaky gut. Then secondly, that's when we look at the underlying drivers and trying to identify exactly what the problem is and eliminating those if we can. So particularly if we're thinking about things like parasites, for example, we might need certain herbs or we might need antibiotics, depending on what that is. If it's different types of bad bacteria, then we might need to look at, again, find out with our testing, we can actually find out what are the best things to try and reduce the levels of either parasites or bad bacteria to get those out of the gut. Or if they're yeast, for example, so candida is quite common. I don't know if you've heard of candida before, but that's an organism, it's occurring within all of us, but it can overgrow in a lot of people and cause them a lot of issues, particularly in the gut. It's a fungus type thing. So if you've got that identified through some tests, you know exactly what you're looking for, then you want to reduce that. At the same time as continue on with the gut healing with the foods that I've spoken about as well, and also plenty of water, obviously I should mention. Be looking at that 2 to 3 litres a day, making sure we flush out the digestive tract and get things rolling there. So they're the first things we sort of look at is healing the gut with those nutrients that I described, and then trying to work out if there's anything bad in there that we need to reduce. Lastly, on top of that, is that we need to put in things that might be missing. So that's when we have a look at, again, with our testing to see what are the different types of good bacteria that are actually missing within the gut of the person, and then restoring the levels of those. So that will very much depend on the testing and the symptoms to determine exactly what that is, and then putting in specific types of probiotics to deal with that. Afterwards, you can put in things like fermented foods, so your sauerkraut, your kimchi, kombucha, that sort of thing after the fact. But initially in that stage, when we've done the gut healing, we've removed anything that's bad and we want to boost up the levels of good stuff, very much want to go with specifically specific types of probiotics to do that rather than just using the fermented foods. The fermented foods come at the end. And then continuing on with that gut healing as well. So the process that we normally put people through when we're looking at doing this sort of thing is around about that 6 to 8 week mark. Normally it would take to heal the leaky gut up and get the levels right. If it is a food issue, for example, if you've got gluten sensitivity, if that's what's driving it, then you might have to have gluten eliminated from your diet completely, or if you've got celiac disease. So those food things, obviously, they'll need to come out. But in terms of nutrients and foods to try and get healing and so forth, there's some good places to start for you. If you're struggling with that and you still need some more further information, then please do PM us or drop us an email there via the website. I'm more than happy to answer any questions and have a look at trying to help you further. We do specialise in this area, so we do have a lot of knowledge, particularly around the testing as well, which is something you might not be able to get access to identify these things. That's something that obviously we send our clients through and get done quite regularly. So hopefully you've got some good tips there on how to heal up the leaky gut, following on from the previous video of what actually causes it. And best of luck with that. And we are here to help if you do need some further assistance. Thank you.